of y'all might get mad at me. And at this point, I don't give. I'm not into politics. I'm not into all of that extra stuff that people be losing their life over. I ain't into all that. You hear me? Whatever. But I will say thank you to Trump for bringing these National Guards and doing what they're doing down here in Memphis right now. You know, for the first time in 5 years. I've been in my home for 5 years. And for the first time, my kids have been able to play in the backyard and be able to do it comfortably. I haven't heard a gunshot in 2 weeks. I haven't seen strange people walk up and down the street. Just a few weeks ago, I had somebody walk on the side of my house. None of that action's going on. I haven't seen no young YNs at the store posted. I haven't seen an infinity fly past me in weeks. I'm sitting on my porch right now, and I'm watching kids outside playing. People outside walking with their kids, stuff I ain't never seen before living in my neighborhood. But all because we feel safe in this environment, unfortunately, because of the things that are happening here in the city. I hate it had to be this way, but I'm happy. I'm happy. Honestly, I truly feel that this is just a band-aid to the problem. I don't think this is going to completely fix everything. But to have a moment of peace, just thank you, Jesus.
So with all the drama that was surrounding the National Guard deployment to Chicago and Washington, D.C., there hasn't been as much noise made when it comes to Memphis. Now, probably because Tennessee is a Republican-controlled state, even though Memphis is led by a Democratic mayor. And so you don't have the pushback like you have with Chicago and the state of Illinois with Pritzker and Brandon Johnson. But Memphis crime was worse than Chicago was per capita, just based upon the records, based upon the data, and based upon anecdotal information. I mean, I grew up in Mississippi. I've been in Memphis plenty of times. I've heard about the stories of Memphis. There was this young football player, Ole Miss, who was killed at a party earlier this year before the season started. And so crime has been, I mean, there were NBA players talking about not even going outside their hotels when they got to Memphis. So people have been well aware of the crime and of the lawlessness that was taking place in Memphis. And I know the mayor of Memphis went on MSNBC and was talking about he did not want the National Guard there. And I understand that he had to play to his base. He had to stay against Trump, fervently against Trump, like all Democrats have to do, which is crazy when it comes to doing what's right for your citizens. But there were some people in Memphis who were calling for the National Guard long before they were deployed, namely this pastor right here.
We are a full 2 weeks into a federal law enforcement surge in the city of Memphis, which now includes military police and other members of the National Guard. We've seen mixed reactions across the city since the Memphis Safe Task Force was first announced, with billboards welcoming the Guard while an encampment of veterans protests their presence. Here with us today to weigh in on the conversation is Dr. Kenneth Whalum Jr., pastor of New Olivet Baptist Church. Dr. Whalum, good to see you as always, my friend. How's the family doing?
Real good. That's New Olivet Worship Center. And every time we see Kirk on here, yes, I keep expecting you to come out with your horn.
Don't do it. Don't do it, Dr. Whalum. We've known each other too long.
Channel 3 version of the Memphis horn.
Don't do it at all.
No, I'm glad to be.
Now I'm gonna stop here. I just picked up on that. His last name is Whalum, and when he said Kirk Whalum, he's probably speaking of that gospel jazz artist Kirk Whalum. That's probably who he's talking about when we talk about horns. It's just something I just picked up when he said that.
Be here, man.
My pleasure, for sure. Let's talk about National Guard members finally arrived this past Friday.
Yes.
And I actually saw a few walking along in the Harbortown area just yesterday. You say Memphis should take advantage of the Memphis Safe Task Force. Why?
Well, I have a little context here. I've been calling for the National Guard since 2023, when we had the mass shooting on Beale Street. Mm-hmm. There were hundreds of young kids on the street, as you will recall, and 8 of them were shot. At that moment, I just felt like we need something extra. Mm-hmm. I called for the National Guard. I approached both mayors. It was Strickland at the time and Lee Harris. Each of them thought it was not time yet. Apparently now the time has come, and I think it's a good thing, Alex. I think we are 2 weeks late, as far as I'm concerned, in doing the things that we can do. We're 14 days in today, and I think that there are things that we should be doing regardless of the National Guard's presence.
So let's dive into this as deeply as we can here. Who's kind of leading the charge right now that you like? Who's kind of falling behind, kind of following? Who's collaborating?
Well, right now, nobody's leading per se, but the vacuum has created an opportunity for, naturally, the mayor of Memphis is already on board with the kinds of things that I'm talking about. And I think Mayor Young has a rare opportunity as a Democratic mayor in a Republican-controlled environment who did not ask for the Guard, but who is excited about working with them. That is one of the things that he, the mayor, and I have been discussing in the past, as well as with the Chamber of Commerce. Those are the kinds of things that I think collaboration is right there on the presence.
But you and I both know how a lot of Memphians are, not everyone in Memphis, but a lot of Memphians will say, wait a minute, we need somebody who's going to kind of push back at the same time because we didn't want them here.
Oh, I think we got plenty of pushback. We just told the story of the veterans encamping outside Sheraton. And most of the institutional organizations, NAACP, Urban League, recently have continued to voice their opposition to the National Guard and the federal presence.
You see that? It's the institutional organizations. The NAACP, the Urban League, all part of that Black triumvirate. The Black civic organizations. Instead of them working with the National Guard, like the mayor's doing, they're pushing back on the president of the National Guard simply to be different. Simply to just push back for the sake of pushing back. That's it. They have no logical reasoning to explain why the National Guard shouldn't be in Memphis to help tamp down the lawlessness and the crime there. They're part of the Black triumvirate. That's why I keep trying to say they are there to do the bidding of the Democratic Party, of the leftists, and they are there to keep Black people in a permanent state of victimhood. That's the only group we're going to get pushback from. Not from the local citizens in Memphis. You're going to get it from the institutional organizations like the NAACP and the Urban League.
So I think two things can be true. There's going to be pushback continually, but this is an opportunity for us to work together to move forward into some areas that I don't think we're doing right now. Chamber of Commerce can do what they have been challenged to do, which is to help improve educational outcomes. It might not sound like it makes sense off the top, but think about it, Alex. The school board is about to close several schools.
Yes, they are.
That's inarguable. They are hemorrhaging. Our school system is hemorrhaging maintenance dollars. That's inarguable. On the other hand, there are plenty of instances of vacant commercial space in Memphis and Shelby County that the chamber has an inside connection with. They should step up, work with the school board to address those problems. And this can be done without any kind of position on the National Guard. The other thing is with regard to economic empowerment. Memphis is you know this better than I do, Memphis is 65% Black. The weakest link economically in Memphis is the Black business community. Mayor Young has convened a meeting of Black pastors who have committed to supporting Black-owned businesses on a monthly, weekly basis, on an individual basis. Think about it. There are about 8,000 Black churches in Memphis. I might be exaggerating, but just think about it. If all the Black churches supported Black-owned businesses, over a year's time, it would transform our economy.
But it sounds like you are talking about a long-term solution.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people are saying with the Guard being here with the Memphis Safe Task Force, critics have said this is a short-term solution.
Well, not according to the president, not according to the Secretary of Defense, not according to the Attorney General. Everybody is saying it's indefinite. Everybody's saying it's going to be a long time. In fact, I just heard that in D.C., they already know that it's going to be into December of next year. So we don't know what the length of time is. My point is that if it is long term, that just gives us more time without the distractions of the kinds of crime that we saw before the federal involvement. I think it's an opportunity for us to show the world what Memphis is about, and we have to do it now. Alex, if we don't do it now, then we are going to, I guarantee we're going to return to the lawlessness that we had before the federal involvement.
That would be very scary, to say the least.
The word scary, I'm glad you used it. What I think is happening, nobody is using the word I'm scared. These leaders I talked about, they're not using the word fear, but that's what is happening. The people, the followers, the everyday ordinary citizen is afraid because of the positions that are being taken by our leaders.
Did you hear what he said? The people that are afraid, they are afraid because they're following these leaders who are putting fear in them and scaring them about the presence of the National Guard, about, oh, it's going to be tyranny. Oh, he's trying to be authoritarian. Oh, man, they're going to stay here forever. It's going to be martial law in the city of Memphis. It's the leaders who are doing that. And he don't want to say it. It's black leaders. They're the ones putting this fear into the citizens about the presence of the National Guard. Do I think the National Guard being there long term is a good thing? No, it's not. It's good that they are there temporarily to give a reprieve, but it shouldn't be a long term. The only way you can have a long term change in cities like DC and Memphis and Chicago and Philadelphia and everywhere is to have a change of heart. And the only way a person can have a change of heart is to repent and come to a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. And that's why it's incumbent upon the churches in those cities to really preach the gospel. Is incumbent upon the citizens, the Christians, the Bible believing Christians in those cities to go out and preach the gospel to change the hearts and minds of people. Then you won't have to worry about having the National Guard come into your city because people's hearts will be right and you won't have this lawlessness. But until then, you need the National Guard in cities like Memphis. And it's sad that these institutional organizations like the NAACP and the Urban League are intentionally deceiving and misleading and scaring people that follow them because they want them to remain victims. Well, we're not victims. We are empowered for greatness.